Hey, what's going on, you guys? Jay here with Jay's Mobile Detailing and Clutch Detailing. God bless you. I hope you've been having a wonderful week so far. I kind of wanted this video to go a little bit differently, and I ended up recording an interaction with the customer, which worked out very well. But at the time, I did not have these mics, which shout out to Serranos Mobile Detailing for blessing my business and my channel with these mics. It's honestly, it's just a huge blessing. Thank you so much. But the wind was just really bad, and it was just, the video was there. I just didn't really like the quality of it as far as sound goes. So I'll be able to try and use that next time, maybe in a short or something like that, or in a reel whenever interacting with the customer. But for the most part, I wanted to clean out the back of my bed because it's about that time, but also kind of talk and walk you through how I interact with customers. Like I said in previous videos, I've been doing this for probably about 5 years. So I've met really cool customers, I met kind of crazy customers, and I've had awkward customers. So I hope that anything that I can tell you and give you pointers on can benefit you and your detailing business and what you do for a living. So let's go ahead and get started. So my first point, which is also probably my most important point ever, is going to be questions. I always like to view my first interaction with any customer as a, what is it? An interview, so to speak. I always think of every day, anytime I interact with a customer, this is my interview for the job. And the reason why I think that way is because you're not only selling your services, you're selling yourself. And like what you would do for a company if you're trying to get hired is you're trying to sell yourself. You're trying to pitch yourself. So anytime I walk a vehicle with a customer, because I always do that before and after, whenever I first show up and I interact with the customer and I'm walking the vehicle with them, the first question I always ask, which is could be the main takeaway for this entire thing, is what is it about the inside or outside, the interior or the exterior, that really bothers you? And that's such a simple yet key question, because you may, or at least I have done this in the past, but you may detail the interior or the exterior. Let's say you detail the exterior, and you were like, man, this vehicle was dirty on the exterior. That's obviously their main focus. But the customer had their main focus on the interior. And because you focus so much on the exterior, you miss some areas in the interior. And after you're done walking the vehicle with them, well, now you have them asking, can you fix this? Can you sort this out? Do you mind touching this up and everything? And every detailer, you're never measured by how good you are, you're measured by what you miss. So that question is so important on the front end and the back end, because you're able to touch up the areas that the customer wants done. And every time you meet up with the customer for the very first time, you don't know what their story is. You don't know if they ran into a bad detail, or they went to a car wash and it ruined their vehicle, or something happened with their vehicle and you may be able to take care of it and be able to get that 5-star review or an extra tip because you were able to ask the right question on the front end of it. So that's always what I recommend, especially whenever you first show up to the vehicle. Every day, whenever you first meet that customer, it is an interview for you, because you're pitching yourself, you're pitching your services. So if you ask that question, I guarantee you there's going to be things where you were walking the vehicle at the front end and you didn't even realize, or you didn't even notice a problem with an area, but it's a huge problem to them. And so now you're able to sort that out and be able to walk it through with them. And even if you can't figure it out, that's a great segue to be able to communicate. And at the end of the day, it's always communication, because at the customer, there's always those expectations, the standard of the customer, but then there's the reality of what we can do for that job. And if you don't communicate, in between this is frustration, because you never communicated the reality of it. So if you communicate and over communicate what you can do, what you can't do, you're able to level out that area of having their expectation meet the reality of it without ruining the entire detail or the entire job on the front end. So that's my first point. That one's free. So something that I highly recommend is recording yourself whenever you're interacting with customers. And the reason why I highly recommend that is because oftentimes we will do something and use something called filler words. And filler words are exactly what it sounds like. It's something that you say in order to buy you time, in order to answer a question for a customer. And the reason why I highly recommend you record your interaction with the customer is because you may not even realize what you're saying or what you're doing. And I can't tell you how many times I have sat down with a customer or talked to a customer about my services, and I act like a deer in the headlights because they'll ask me really great questions about what I offer or what my other packages are or the price difference, and I don't even know off the top of my head. And I'm sure everybody has experienced this. You may have experienced it mainly in like a service industry, like going to a restaurant and you're over there talking to the waiter, and then somehow it ends up being the waiter looking at the menu because they don't even know what sides come with your dish. And obviously y'all are better people than I am. And because majority of the time I'm over there saying or thinking to myself, man, they don't even know their own menu. And they've been working here how long? But sometimes our own customers will think that exact same way. It's like, man, this is your own business and you don't even know your services that you provide. So it's very key to, you don't have to record the actual person, but at least get the voice recording of your interaction with that customer. And whenever you end up meeting up with them, find out how many times it takes you or how long it takes you to answer their questions. I remember the first time I started doing this, a customer was asking me, what are my services? What are my packages? What do I offer? How long does it take? And in that one, maybe like 2 or 3 minute interaction, I said, 38 times. 38 times. And it's just like, wow, I really sound like I don't know what I'm doing. Like it sounds like I'm pulling something out of my rear end. And that's what you don't want to sound like whenever you're interacting. And I can't tell you how many times now I'm able to talk to a customer, and because I've studied my packages, I've studied my services, I know how my pricing works, I know what it looks like, I know how long it'll take me because I've timed myself. I know what it'll take to get the job done, that I'm able to answer on the fly for this customer. So that's what I highly recommend whenever you're interacting with them, is really, really study your services. Even something as simple as me, like for instance, I had a customer who called me up and was just like, hey, I have a couple of stains on my couch. Can you come and shampoo my couch? I said, yeah, sure, I could definitely do that. And they said, what's your process for shampooing something like this? It's a great question. It should be an easy question, but I feel like oftentimes we as detailers, we're so good at doing that we don't make time to reflect on how we do it. So what I, even like this, is really, really pay attention to how you do it. So that way, next time the customer speaks to you, you're not like, man, how do I do that? Because again, you're so good at doing it that you never really think of how I do it. So now you're able to walk through each and every step of how you do something because you took the time to reflect on your services, you took the time to reflect on how you do it and what the process is to do that. So the next thing I want to bring up as far as detailing goes is pricing and packaging. Now, I will not stay on this topic very long because there's so many factors that go into it, but two is, I know Serranos Mobile Detailing just came out with a great video on it. I'll link it in the description for you to go and follow and go and check it out because honestly, it's a phenomenal video that'll definitely help you out. But the biggest thing that I ended up having to overcome being in this industry was my prices and packages. I feel like almost everybody will go through this or has gone through this, but I used to be very apologetic for my pricing. to the point where I would give somebody a price and then I would immediately drop down the price because I felt bad for charging them that much or wanting to charge them that much. And the biggest thing that really helped me with my pricing and packaging was I had to come up with, or I had to really shift my mindset, so to speak, of I can't be apologetic about this anymore because I need to someday, at that point I was single, but someday support my wife, Mrs. Clutch, and then my children that I want to have, which is little Clutches running around the house and everything. So something that I recommend is if you have a family and you're having a hard time charging the prices that you want to charge, one is the quality always has to match the price. The quality of service always has to match, and it has to be very consistent every single time. If you don't have that, work on those two things and then bump up your prices or work on your packages. But the other thing is, what do you need to charge in order to support your family, your lifestyle that you want to have, and to be able to feed your business, feed yourself, and whoever else. And that's something that really helped me with discovering how much I needed to charge, which was, is this price point that I'm going to charge for this vehicle able to support my family and my lifestyle? And if it doesn't, and if there's any way that I feel like it's in question, then I'm not going to do it, or I'm going to charge more. So that's what really helps me with shifting my mindset. Some people don't think like that. I do. If it doesn't work out for you, so be it. If it does, phenomenal. I absolutely love that. So the last piece of advice that I highly recommend when interacting with customers is being confident in yourself. And the reason why I say that is because confidence is key. Faking it till you make it is pretty cool, but at some point, it's not going to carry you the entire way until you actually work on the problem at hand, which is the confidence. And the best piece of advice I could have ever gotten from another great detailer out in Houston, because I used to bombard the mess out of him and call him all the time, asking questions and wanting to mimic absolutely everything he does, was one day I called him and asked him, how do I do what you're doing? Exactly how you're doing, to the T that you're doing it. And the best piece of advice he could have ever given me was, hey, listen, I understand you want to do this. I understand you want to do it perfectly and everything, but you have to do it your way. If you try and mimic what I'm doing, yeah, there may be some points that work for you, but there's going to be other points that don't work for you. And whenever you get to that point, it's going to hurt you in the long run. And that was the best piece of advice he could have ever given me, because there were certain things that I was trying to copy out of him or other detailers. And a year later, I found out that it would hurt me more than it would help me. And just trying to fake it till I make it and trying to be somebody that I'm not. And the thing is that customers will call me till this day because I am who I am. And they would much rather prefer me over somebody else who may be high quality at a lesser price, because I am open and honest, because I'm upfront with them, because I'm going to help them with what I can and everything, and other factors that go into it. But for the most part, I want to say, like, be confident in who you are. If you really take care of your customers and you really take care of yourself in the process, and learn as you go, and eat up as much knowledge as you have, or as much as you can, watch YouTube and ask other detailers questions on their processes and whatnot, you'll definitely see and reap the reward in the end. So that's probably the best piece of advice I could ever give. Is there's so many other detailers that are doing things that are really right and other things that are very wrong. And just because the grass is greener on the other side doesn't mean it'll be that green for you. So, and that was bars. That one's free. Anyway, that's the end of my TED Talk. I hope you have a great day. I'm going to try and finish up the back of my truck and everything, but I appreciate you guys sticking by and watching my video. If you liked it, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you have any other questions in the process of detailing or my tools, all my tools and chemicals are going to be linked down in the description below. So in the meantime, God bless you, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Later.